Hey there, I know you're on a journey from grief to growth, just like I am, and you may be looking for tools to help you live a more soul aligned life. Well, head over to my Grief to Growth store. It's your one stop shop for inspiration, for healing, and for transformation. Inside there, you're going to find some free resources to help you get started. You'll find guided meditations to calm your mind and reconnect with your spirit. You'll find signed copies of my book, Gems of Healing. You'll find my brand new Oracle deck to help you tap into daily divine guidance. And there's some powerful mini courses designed to fit in your busy life and move you forward one gentle step at a time. So whether you're deep in grief, seeking spiritual growth, or just ready for a reset, there's something waiting for you right now. Just go to grieftogrowth.com/store, grief numeral 2 growth.com/store, and start exploring. Close your eyes and imagine. What if the things in life that cause us the greatest pain, the things that bring us grief, are challenges? Challenges designed to help us grow, to ultimately become what we were always meant to be. We feel like we've been buried, but what if, like a seed, we've been planted? And having been planted, we grow to become a mighty tree. Now, open your eyes. Open your eyes to this way of viewing life. Come with me as we explore your true, infinite, eternal nature. This is Grief to Growth, and I am your host, Brian Smith. I'm Brian Smith, and I want to welcome you to Grief to Growth. And whether this is your first time listening or you've been with us for a while, I want to let you know this show is all about navigating life's toughest challenges, especially grief, and those experiences as using those as stepping stones or personal growth for deeper spiritual understanding and for transformation. Here we ask the big questions. Who are we? Why are we here? Where do we go when we leave this life? Today's episode is one I'm really excited about recording. I'm joined by Pam Johnson. Pam is an inspirational speaker, an author, a healer, and a spiritual channeler whose life was forever changed in 2020 when her beloved husband Alan passed. But rather than that being an ending, their love story actually took on a new interdimensional form. Alan began to communicate with Pam telepathically, setting her on a mission that's now helped hundreds reconnect with their loved ones across the veil. Since 2022, Pam has been teaching people how to continue these soul-level relationships, not through traditional mediumship, but through direct spirit communication. She's a passionate advocate for empowering everyday people to develop their own connection with the afterlife. We'll be diving into why these experiences are becoming more common, how grief may actually be rooted in false beliefs about separation, and how spiritual healing, more than psychic training, can raise our vibration enough to truly feel our loved ones again. Pam also offers insights into the pitfalls of relying solely on mediums and why reclaiming your own spiritual sovereignty is key to healing and to reunion. So if you've ever wondered whether it's possible to not only hear from your loved one, but hug them again, this episode might just shift your perspective forever. And remember, this isn't just a conversation between Pam and I, it's a community. So be sure to continue the discussion with us over at grieftogrowth.com/community, where you can listen to the episode, connect with other listeners, and share your experiences. So let's get into it. With that, I want to welcome Pam Johnson.
Wow. Hey, Brian. So great to be here. And yeah, this is all I've been talking about, thinking about. I eat, sleep, drink, breathe it, whatever, since my husband passed. And I just want to let everybody know that although, yes, I'm a channeler and I've been in this field practicing doing readings for, like, at this point, 37 years, and my husband was a psychic medium, this doesn't mean you have to be a professional psychic to do this. In fact, I've met mediums who struggle to continue their relationship across the veil because it turns out it's all about spiritual development, not psychic development, like how clear you are in yourself, right? Do you have any fear, unprocessed trauma, limiting beliefs? All those things come to play. So my story in a nutshell is that, my husband died on his birthday. He had dementia. And so in the latter stages, he wasn't coherent and he was seeing the other side. I knew that. And later he came through a good friend of mine who's a medium, and she said that he went visiting like where he was going to go, and took a tour of the afterlife to see, where he was going to leave for. And he was excited, like, oh, this, thrilled because he was 83 when he died, and he was just tired of being old. That was what he would complain to me about probably the last 10 years of his life. Like, I hate being old. I'm tired of being old. And so he didn't want to leave me, but he was done. So when he left, exited, went to the other side, it didn't even occur to me that I might hear him. Like, I don't know why, because he's a natural born medium, and spirit was always knocking on the door, trying to get in during his readings to get through to a client, but he would actually try to shut the door because he didn't really prefer doing mediumship, because he just was not comfortable with the fact that as a medium, you're not in control. Like, they don't always want to come through. And so he didn't want to disappoint clients. So he would rather do pure psychic readings, and he was extraordinary with that. So we had a worldwide client base, and he would just like to do readings. But nevertheless, when you're a natural medium, they just come tapping on your shoulder. And so he would sometimes share a message. So when he passed, though, I never occurred to me like, oh, I'm going to hear from him. I mean, really, I had no idea. But I immediately heard him in my head, and he put a song in my head the morning after he passed, and that song was the theme song from the movie Ghost. If you've seen that movie, right? Unchained Melody. And it's the right, and it's the orchestral version, because that was the movie that we had seen together for the first time. That was our first movie together. So it kind of was a preordained thing. Like, this is what's coming. And so he put that song in my head, and it kept playing, and I go, okay, I'm going to go find that song on YouTube, because I didn't own the song. So, and then I started hearing him, and he said, we're not done. I want to continue our marriage if you're open. And he was worried because, in his own words, he says he had been a rather shitty husband. Because he had been, he wasn't abusive, but he was rather dissociated. And in our book, Supernatural Love, which that's the poster behind me, I go through the whole story of how he returned to me and gave me the title for our book, said we were going to write a book, that the book would help people open up to their loved ones on the other side. And it has done that. I've actually started my practice with working with people, teaching them through that book, largely because people find their way to it, and then they reach out to me and they want to learn from us, and not just me, but Alan too. But in those early days, when he had just crossed over, I had to process a lot of my resentment, my buried anger, and I had no clue. I didn't realize that I was so resentful toward him for how he had rather been neglectful. And so I had to process all that. It took a while, but I knew he was with me, and I didn't get as many signs as I see some of our students get. Some of their signs are just blow your socks off. But his was more subtle, probably because I am a channeler, so I could hear him, and I had to process my resentment. So what I've learned is that everybody's journey is different, and because it depends on their partner on the other side. And Alan's taught me what that process is, because he says every spirit on the other side is different in their ability to project through the veil, which makes sense, because I've have met people whose partners, not only partners, but usually it's been partners who are so strong that they even come through physically, like physical contact. And one of my students, she's still getting physical contact, because you would think it would fade, because normally it will fade, because in the initial stages, like the first months up to a year and a half, they have what I like to call more residual earth energy to make things happen and make contact, or even appear sometimes. Whether the person is clairvoyant or not, they can project strongly enough to be somewhat visible, or even almost like 3D visible in some cases for a moment. But usually we need to raise our frequency. We need to open up, right, to be able to perceive them, because they eventually fully transition to the other side. And then that's when people think, Like, what happened to my loved one? Like, I'm not getting signs anymore. Like they
Hmm.
used to give me signs, but it can very well be that they just fully transition. So that it's not as easy for them to make things happen here, right?
Okay.
And so if we learn to open up and develop ourselves spiritually, it's not about being psychic, because come on, we're born psychic. We're all souls, and the soul is 100% psychic. It's just that we've been fed a lot of baloney about, that's not real, or you're not seeing things, you're seeing things, you're crazy. And so people shut it down. But our natural state as children is to be completely intuitive and pick up on what's going on. And kids just aren't disconnected from that yet. And they
Hmm.
haven't been told it's wrong or it's imaginary, right? They haven't had it programmed out of them. But this is our natural state. So what I tell people is, you're born psychic, is you really don't need to learn anything. A class can help, but you don't need to learn anything. You need to unlearn what you've been taught that has prevented you from accessing what is your true natural state. That's all it is. And so I see that with people as we start take removing those layers of limiting beliefs, their frequency rises, they start trusting and believing, and they're creating their relationship, because it's a co-created thing. And this is what took me a while to understand, because I thought, like a lot of people, like, well, they're just going to make things happen. Like, if nothing's happening, it's because he's not making it happen, right? I used to blame Alan and go, why aren't you doing this for me, for me? And then I later realized, wait, I'm creating my experience in this reality. So why am I not letting it in? Why am I blocking it? And so I learned so much this journey that I swear I don't think most mediums understand, because unless you've walked in that path, like you literally have learned and your partner's on the other side and they're teaching you. And Alan was a spiritual teacher when he was in a body. So, it's something most people are not going to figure out, because you got to be kind of down in the trenches. But it's been the most extraordinary journey. He completely healed me of my resentment and my anger and my, I want to say, pretty much everything. He woke me up to being who I fully am, because he was able to love me unconditionally in a way that he could never have done when he was here in a body. He just couldn't. And so now I just feel his love wrapped around me all the time. But my main purpose for speaking with you and your audience here is to let people know, like, this is not some rare thing that only a few select people can experience. This is definitely a revolution of consciousness, an awakening. Grief can be an awakening of your soul. Okay. It's not about like picking up the telephone and saying, I'm going to talk to my partner or my loved one or my child or my sibling or my parent. Okay. It's not about that. You got to do the work. You got to identify, what are your blocks? What are your limiting beliefs? You've got to love yourself unconditionally as they love you unconditionally. But here's the good news. Their love for us, as we let it in and connect with us, right? It will help us evolve. It's going to help us evolve. It's going to be a process, though, because that love is going to illuminate and bring to the surface what doesn't match it. So this is where my program comes in, where I work with people and I coach people. I have a group coaching program, and I work with people and teach on this subject and show them how you just have to identify, like, what is your limiting belief, and let it go. But the more you let the love in and let the transformation process unfold, you actually start not only being able to perceive your loved one in whatever way they're able to come through, but your life gets better because you step into being who you truly are. Because most people are not doing that. Most people are living this tiny, scanty portion of who they truly are, because they're burdened with all these limiting beliefs that they took on from their parents, from their friends, from society, from teachers, right? And they have no clue. Like, they're walking around with these beliefs that define them, that weigh them down, because beliefs that don't belong to us feel like burdens. and they don't understand, like, wait, I'm here to be my true authentic self, which may mean I've got to unload these beliefs that I took on from my parents. I can still love them, but I don't have to align with their beliefs if those beliefs don't match my authentic self. So it's been just like one thing after another. It's always getting stronger. I find that the people I work with, if they open up to this, their intuition just starts coming in. And most of all, they feel the presence of their loved one on some form. And it's very healing and comforting. And most importantly, they just start being comfortable just being who they are, because that's really our purpose for being here. It's if we accomplish some great goal, right? That's fine. But that's not the purpose of existence. The purpose of existence, as the other side has told me, is to be your true self. Because when you are your true self and you're aligned with your higher guidance and you're living authentically, then you're on your path. And then whatever you do is serving other people, because the greatest gift is your own vibration that's aligned and whole and just connected with love, right? So this is why I kind of try to help people see that grief is this opportunity of awakening, of becoming whole again and becoming you, the real you, that chances are people aren't being. And if they are being the real them, then they don't even need me, right? And they can probably like connect with the other side, and they're living a life of abundance and fulfillment, and they have harmonious relationships with other people. So they don't need me. But I would say most people do need this or something like it, right?
Yeah.
To evolve, to go to the next level. And I believe the time we're living in, yeah, it's very chaotic. It's a time of crisis, but always in the times of crisis, there's always transformation, because this is how it works. And as I was telling you earlier before we started our call here, our meeting here, you know, the spirit world always comes through stronger when the planet is in crisis. And mediums know this. And the last time they really came knocking on the door and made themselves known was, if you remember, back in the 1900s with the Fox sisters in New York, and they started hearing the raps and taps on the wall. That launched the spiritualist movement, right? Now you could question whether they were real, authentic, whatever. There was a whole controversy about that, but there's always been controversy about mediumship. But you can't deny the fact that from then on, spiritualism started to grow, and
Right.
it really took hold, especially in England, where Alan was from. He was born in the slums of London and was always a natural born medium and felt spirits around him. But the spiritualist movement happened, according to their side, because they knew that we would need help. And they said that they always do that when we really need help. And I think this is what's happening now, because I've been meeting what I would call ordinary people who have maybe, in some cases, have no interest in spirituality. You know, they're just living their life. Like I met a woman who is hardcore Christian, and she started feeling her husband around her, and he was like touching her, and she was freaking out, going, "What the?" Because it completely contradicted her belief. But she knew it was real, and she knew it was him.
Hmm.
And it was undeniable to her, right? So she had to reconcile that. Like, how can this be? And she finally had to agree, like, this is real. And I feel his love and I feel his presence. So that, you see, just woke her up, because she just said, this is real. I know I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
But that said, it's not uncommon for people to reach out to me and say, I have all these things happening and I thought I was crazy. Thank God I found your book, because I realized the same thing's happening to you. And then they meet other people through me in our community who are having the same thing, right? All different experiences, but still the same theme of connection. And they realize, I'm not crazy. This is real. This is extraordinary. I must have signed up for it, because, whatever happens to us is an orchestration of our soul, of our higher self. So there are no accidents. So I just see this fascinating, because when I wrote our book, I thought, oh, well, I'm probably like the only one having this, because I didn't know anybody besides me. I just said, I knew Alan said, let's write the book. We're going to help other people. And I thought, okay, we'll help other people do this. But I didn't think other people were already experiencing it. I had no clue. He didn't tell me that. He just said, we're going to help other people who want to continue their relationships. So when people started finding me and telling me their stories, I said, oh my God, like this is happening to a lot of people. Like, why isn't anybody talking about this?
Right.
And I find that really fascinating. And after reaching out to other spiritual teachers or podcasters or whatever, and I've been on several podcasts, but what I see, because I'm intuitive, so I can read them. What I see is, unless you've lost someone like you have, like of course your audience has, that doesn't really interest you, right? It's like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, whatever. like, it's only somebody who's mired in grief, who longs for connection, that their ear's going to perk up, right? And I understand it. That's completely normal, right? But also spiritual teachers, especially mediums, they're very biased. They have and this is what Alan told me from the beginning. He said, you're going to experience resistance from mediums. And I had one of my good friends who's an amazing medium. She said the same thing. She goes, you're not going to find resistance from the general public, or like they're going to be like, oh, interesting, I want to hear about it. She says, you're going to get pushback from mediums because they don't want you encroaching on their turf and they don't want people running off going, well, I'm just not talk to a medium, I'm going to talk to my loved one myself. And if they can't teach them how to make that contact, then why would the medium even necessarily want to encourage that, right? Because if they told their client that, the client would say, well, can you help me? And maybe the medium can, maybe they can't, right? So I said, really? We're going to have, resistance from them? And Alan said, yes, you need to be prepared for that. It won't be bad. It's just part of the journey, because whenever somebody's doing something that hasn't been done before, there's going to be pushback and people who don't like things to change. Right. And I don't care, because I told him, all right, he and I were always used to doing our own thing, not caring what other people thought about it. We always kind of lived in our own lane, pretty much, and weren't out there mingling with other spiritual teachers. Although I met many of them, I'm just like, no, I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing my own thing, and I'm still doing my own thing. And I'm just here to serve people, to serve humanity, because I know this is, my mission, and my mission with Alan. But he actively helps on the other side, the loved ones of our students. And our students, by the way, are not just couples. I have people in my Supernatural Love Academy who are parents connecting with a child, an adult child. I have siblings connecting with each other. I have a couple like that. I have people that are just learning with me because they want to grow spiritually. They don't even have someone on their side. Although I had one student say, well, if I'm studying with you, I know that when the day comes that somebody I love crosses over, I'll be good to go because you've already helped me lay the foundation. I said, okay, that's good. Be proactive, right? So it's across the board, like all kinds of people. And I don't think there's any pre-qualification to have this experience, except the desire to embrace it and be willing to change, to be willing to identify what limiting beliefs you may have and say, all right, I want to change that, let that go. And I have a lot of processes that I'm coming up with now that we're going to teach more to help people make that shift, especially because now, the energy is so dense on the planet with everything going on. Here we're talking in April of 2025, putting a marker there saying like, oh, what's going on in the world economy? What's going on politically? And hopefully 5 years from now, I know things will be very different, but right now it's very chaotic. So I want to help people hold steady through this time of chaos, because I know we can, and I know the other side wants to help us.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about. It's just being of service. And so I'm passionate about it. This is all I do. I would teach every day if I was physically able to. I kind of already do, like at least a couple times a week. But yeah, I mean, is there any question you have? I know that you told me that, someone you care about has, and that you lost a dear friend. And
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that is on my mind as we go through today. As we're recording this in April, I have a good friend who passed away just suddenly last Monday. And as you said, we're recording this in April, and his wife or there's a couple. We're really close, and my friends like this they're coming up to the 30th wedding anniversary, and this has been a lifelong thing. 60 years old, they've been together half their lives. And, there's a thing when we have a partner transition, you were saying before we start recording, people are like, okay, well, you can move on. You can find somebody else. Your partner wants you to find somebody else. And I know that's okay for some people, but for other people, they're like, I want to continue this relationship. And so what I like to do is be here for people that have that. Now I want to clarify some things because we're using some language that might be confusing to people. You talked about limiting beliefs. Can you give us some examples of what those might be that people are carrying that are kind of keeping them from making this connection?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there, I'm testing out a new feature. I'd love to get your feedback on it. It's called Fan Mail, and you can send me a message right from the show notes of the podcast. So look for the link that says send me a text. You can ask a question for a future podcast. You can suggest a guest or just give me any feedback you want. Just remember, it is one way. I can't text you back, and I will not have your name, your email address, or your phone number unless you include it in the message. Let me know what you think.
Okay. Yeah. Good question. So limiting belief is just a belief that limits you, holds you back, right? And it will depend. You're free to choose whatever beliefs you prefer. So ideally, we choose beliefs that will support us, that will empower us, right? Will help us. But literally, you can choose to believe anything because you and I are made in the image of the creator, of source, all that is, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to say God. You can say God, but there's a grander consciousness that we're part of, right? So our beliefs, our thoughts are what manifest and create our world. They actually take form. People who journey out of body have reported that they can see that, like thoughts people have become dense, they become crystallized, and then they happen in our life, right? So a limiting belief when it comes to life after death or connecting to someone on their side could be, well, only mediums can talk to the dead, for example, or I have to let my loved one go. This belief is held by a lot of world famous mediums, by the way. I had one of my clients come to me frantically, and she's a very good medium herself, but she was told by a famous medium, I'm not going to say his name, and she was shocked because he told her she needed to let her husband go. Now, her husband had been making himself very visible to her, very evident to her, right? And she wanted to pursue this. So she was crushed because she thought, do I really need to let him go? Am I just like mistaken? And I said to her, because I was just translating what Alan was saying, and Alan says, don't put all stock on just because this person is famous that they know everything. He says they don't necessarily, because they're just mouthing to you what they were trained and what they believe. So if they believe that, because again, you're free to choose to believe whatever you want. If they believe that, then that's the reality they're going to create. And most mediums have been taught that. He knows because he was trained as a medium. So he said, now some of them are more open-minded. So we're not saying all of them think this way, but he's saying many times those that have been in the field for a long time, that are, again, famous, well established, they're just very fixed in their views because and he says he sees a lot of ego in the mediumship community. And I would have to say that's true. There are some amazing mediums. Again, I'm not bashing all mediums. People always get mad at me and say, "You're so negative about mediums." I go, I'm negative about the mediums who don't know what they're talking about or who are making up stuff and hurting people. Yeah, but most of them are good people, and most of them, are doing their best. I'm just trying to tell the truth so that the people that are getting the readings don't get devastated. Because I'll tell you, this is what breaks my heart. Some of those people, because I've seen this happen, and I'm almost getting emotional here, some of them will take their life.
Mm.
And I've known people who've done that after a bad reading.
Yeah.
Just takes one bad reading, some medium saying, your husband wants you to move on. And that person will walk out the door and take their life. I've known this to happen. And so I don't care if people tell me that I'm bashing on mediums. I don't care as long as it saves somebody's life, because that's all that matters.
Right.
Not like, oh, I hurt their feelings, like I hurt them. But anyway, that's what limiting belief might be, right? Like, I can't do this. I have to take mediumship training. No, you don't. I have had several students of mine take mediumship training from one well-known medium who I adore, and it didn't really help them. It didn't help them.
Right.
Okay, because they had to dig down and say, okay, what am I still resentful? They didn't do any emotional work, because most mediumship training doesn't do that. They'll tell you, you need to work, you need to heal your trauma, or you need to heal yourself, but they don't help you do it. It's like easy to tell people, oh, you need to, process your trauma. And the person will go, okay, like if I knew how to do that, I would have done it already.
Right.
Like, can you help me with it? Oh, no. Just go figure it out, right? That's what most psychic development teachers will do, because they're not healers. Well, they might be, but maybe they don't. Alan says they don't have an Alan on the other side.
Yeah.
Because he's helping their partner. And I've had people even tell me, like some of my students would go to a medium and the medium would say, who's this Alan guy on the other side who's with your loved one?
Yeah.
or what's going on? And so you get confirmation that he's working with them. And I've even heard mediums say, yes, the spirits on the other side don't all know how to project. That's something that they need to learn. So Alan said he holds a class over there. I know it sounds really wild, right? Like to the average person out there, like, what? Are you kidding? But he said, yeah, they have to learn, and they're all at different levels, because as souls, we're all, at different levels, aren't we? We're not like all enlightened when we cross over. So that's what I mean. Like, you have to identify, like, why do I believe that? Or why do I believe the afterlife isn't real? Because you have to trace it back. Like, where did that come from? Like, where did it come from? And I tell people, you want evidence of the afterlife, then just be open and say, okay, I'm going to explore it. Like, what harm is going to come to you? But if you're afraid, then, okay, you have a limiting belief that something about this is scary. So you may have to dig deep and go, where did that come from, right? Like, was it from childhood? Was it my parents? Like, I worked with one woman, because I have a process called the Bridge to Heaven, where I actually guide people to make contact in the session. And only two kinds of people don't make contact. One is a person who is very controlling. They try to control the whole experience. And then that can't get them to let go of control. The other one is somebody who's very fearful. So this gal that I was working with, we were making a little bit of headway, and we finally identified that she was terrified of the other side. And I said, okay, why? She says, oh, when I was a little girl, and I think she was from like Southeast Asia, she said her mother would say, if you're bad, the spirit under your bed's going to get you, something like that. And she forgot about it. And she goes, oh, yeah, I think I'm really scared of what I might be opening up to. And I said, well, all right, we have to clear that first, because, again, that's her limiting belief, right? Like, okay, I'm scared of the other side, but she wasn't consciously aware of it until we kind of worked it deeper and go, where's this coming from? Do you remember? Yeah, my mom used to like try to control me by saying this being under the bed was going to get her if she didn't behave. How crazy is that, right? So that's an example. Does that answer your question?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi there, I'm really excited to tell you about my latest ebook. It's 4 lessons that you can learn from the near-death experience without going through all the trouble of dying to learn them. I've been studying NDEs for several years now. I am completely convinced that not only are they 100% real, but that there's some very universal wisdom that we can get from the near-death experience. And I've distilled that down in this book into 4 short lessons. And I've also given you all the reasons why I believe that NDEs are absolutely real. So go to www.grieftogrowth.com/NDE lessons to pick it up for free. www.griefthe2growth.com/NDE lessons. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, well, it's funny you said it sounds a little bit crazy, but and the thing I was thinking about is religion, and I think you touched on this earlier. Religion can be a limiting belief. We've been
Oh,
taught,
yeah.
do not speak to the dead, do not consult with mediums. So I'm sure you've run across
Oh,
that.
absolutely. But we have to remember, like right now, thankfully, we're living in an age where the truth is coming out, where people are beginning to realize, wait, religions were always in place to control people. It's all been about power and control. Started off with good intention, like many things do. Of course, Jesus had good intentions, right? But from what I understand, Jesus didn't want them to make a church.
Right.
He wanted them to go, share the good news, right?
Exactly.
Like go work with the people. It's not like go build me a church and then collect all the money. It's like it's humans that interjected that.
Right.
So people are being to understand that, wait, some of these beliefs didn't come from God, because this what cracks me up. People say, well, I don't know, that what you're talking about or is channeled, or this person is channeling this other thing. And I go, what do you think the Bible was? Do you think all that information just landed here untouched through a human consciousness? Do you think that the human consciousness at the time of Jesus was so evolved that they could just purely bring it through? You are living in a fantasy world. You don't know what parts are accurate or not. Alan and I studied with Reverend Willard Fuller. He's long passed, but he used to do these teeth healings, really fascinating. And he believed that Christ's power or God's power should be able to be demonstrated. So it would show that you could change somebody's healing from metal to gold. And he did that. And I was guided to study with him. We went all the way to Lloyd, Florida, and studied with him for 5 days. And she just taught about the Bible, like the true perspective. And he'd have people coming to study with him from all over the world. So we were in this class in his home, and he just taught us and said how so much of the Bible has just been misinterpreted. And he was a beautiful soul, beautiful man. So I got to understand what it was really about. But most people don't get that different preachers maybe, or different religious groups, right? That they just co-opted what works for them. And again, it's about money and power and control.
Yeah.
And they're not saying they don't good work at the same time, but that's the human condition, isn't it? Like it's not all bad and all good, because we're here to experience the contrast.
Right.
So you and I will make mistakes, and we will hurt people unintentionally, hopefully, right?
Yeah,
and then we'll be hurt, and we realize, wait, I came into this world to experience that contrast, because I can't not experience it on the other side where there's only love. But in the contrast, we get to learn. And one of the most powerful ways to learn what love is to experience what love is not, right? What is the absence of it? Or one way to really supercharge your own self-love is to have it denied you, which sounds like a paradox. Like, wait, so if somebody doesn't love you, you're going to learn to love yourself. Well, yeah, because you're now relying only on you. Like, I don't care if they don't love me. I love me. That's all that matters. I love myself, because as I'm sure you and I understand, the whole world could love you, but if you don't love yourself, it doesn't mean anything,
Right.
because love is an internal experience that then is externally reflected back to us, because reality is constructed that way to mirror back to us what we believe inside our heart. So it doesn't matter. All these people saying, I love you, and you just think, well, they're lying. I fooled them. Like, they don't know the real me. If they did know the real me, they wouldn't love me. All of those limiting beliefs, that negative self-talk, right? People's self-concept is really low. Like, they just don't believe in their value. So my heart goes out to you and your friend's wife who, just lost her husband. Aaron and I were married about 30 years. And so I understand that he died when he was 83, but there's a 15-year difference between us. So I'm going to be 73 this year. And I've already told the universe, I warned our son, I go, I want to pass on my 83rd birthday like your father did.
Oh, wow.
That's I don't know if that's going to happen, but I already told our son, just have a big party for me, okay? Because I know when I'm going home I'm going to be having a great, huge celebration. So,
Yeah.
but I'm not in a hurry to go because I know I'm not done yet.
So what's your relationship with like with Alan now? Because people, I think, we know people in the physical, right? We know bodies and stuff like that. And it's really difficult when someone's passed on, left their body, and you say, okay, well, now you can form a new relationship. What does that look like? What is it?
Okay, good
Do you
question.
talk to him? I mean,
Good question. So again, every couple's relationship, and when I say couple, I don't just mean husband, partner kind.
sure.
Okay, I mean like sibling, like any two people, right?
Mhm.
So every relationship is unique. And so I always tell the people I work with, like, do not compare. You cannot compare. You are unique. Your, let's say, frequency is unique, right? Your ability, your spiritual abilities, or whatever they are, and all that can be developed, but you are who you are right now. And then your loved one on the other side, they are who they are right there, right? So some of them, like I said, came through strongly to their loved one, and different, but they're all different. Like I've had people in my academy, and mostly the ones that are having this really intense physical contact are partners, like spouses, but like physical contact, some of them are having. A lot of times it's energetic, like undeniable, like you get chills or heat or pressure or tingles, or I've had people feel like their arm wrapped around them. Sometimes many of them are starting to see their loved one like clairvoyantly, like maybe for a moment. I've had people say they see them like 3D for a moment. I've seen Alan holographically on occasion, but I see him clairvoyantly primarily. Like I just see him. I just know that's him. And it's funny how he presents, because he'll look so crazy. I'll go, well, I know I'm not imagining that, because why would I imagine you that way? And I also know that the physical mind doesn't make these things up, not that way. Okay. And I help people understand that your imagination is actually the doorway to the other side. So you need to use it, because it's not going to happen through your physical, logical mind. If I told you to imagine, for example, for you to imagine your friend who passed, okay, that would be you deliberately using your mind to do it, right? Like you'd remember a memory of him, right? So that's you. You're creating it. Absolutely. But if you were, I don't know, watching TV or brushing your teeth or something, and he flashes in your mind, right? You're not thinking of him. It's just like you get an image of him in your mind, right? That's him. Because they can easily project that way, and they do. And if he's around you, you're going to pick up on it, because most of us are opening up and becoming more sensitive without even trying. And so people are having these experiences, and then they shrug it off. They go, oh, that's weird. I wonder what that was, right? But you, I know, would be more open and aware and say, oh, maybe that's him, right? And what I tell people is, if that happens, if you can, stop what you're doing and connect. It's like they came knocking on the door going, hi, I'm here. Like, when you go, oh, okay. what's going on, or just at least feel them, right? Do
Yeah.
whatever you feel your imagination, which is your guidance. What does your imagination tell you to do? Oh, I think I'm just going to tune in and just feel this energy. Oh, I think I'm going to ask a question. Whatever. It doesn't matter. What
Mhm.
matters is that you don't let that fleeting moment slip through your fingers and just shrug it off and go, that's just strange.
Yeah.
Because that's like closing the door to them. Not that they're going to get upset, because people always tell me, oh my God, is he mad at me because, I'm not paying attention? I go, no, they know that our world that we're living in is people are so distracted. They understand it. There's
Yeah.
only love for us, but they're like, she's not listening to me.
Yeah.
Or I tried to get through and she's just thinking she's making it up. And I'll say to them, but that's not what your logical mind does, unless you're a person, and I know there are people like this, who just constantly like thinking and but most people are not like that. There are times when they quiet down, right?
Mhm.
Again, like when they brush their teeth or wash dishes or something.
Right.
And so pay attention when those things happen. Those are golden moments, opportunities that you want to miss. So I teach people, coach people on this, and they start paying attention and they go, oh yeah, I felt my partner, I felt my sister, whatever. And then it builds, because now you're saying yes to the other side instead of this is weird, which closes the door, and it gets stronger. And I tell people, don't take this the wrong way, everybody, because a lot of people think, you're crazy making this up. But you want contact, you got to go all in and be delusional. Be delusional. That doesn't mean you're crazy. When you say when I say be delusional, I mean say, I hear you, I feel you, like even if it's not happening yet, like you affirm it. So I'm a big believer in affirmations and
Mhm.
just affirming it, because your words create. So if you have doubt, that's okay. Just affirm the positive, because eventually your words of positivity, the words that affirm your connection and their existence, will get stronger. Because here's the thing that people don't realize. Because you and I are souls and we are made of love, when we affirm positivity like that, like I am loved and I still have connection with my loved one, that is the truth anyway.
Yeah.
So the truth is actually easier to manifest. If you're trying to manifest because people do manifest negatively from their fear, okay, you can do that too.
Sure.
But because that's not really you, that actually, you know, falls apart unless you keep being negative. But the
Yeah.
universe backs you up on whatever you choose to believe. If you choose to believe negatively, you're going to get the negative. You choose to be positively, you get the positive. Whatever you believe, it's like the universe says yes, yes, yes. So
Yeah.
why not say yes to connection, to your evolution, to you stepping into being the love that you want? Why not say yes to what you want instead of what you don't want?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I like to share a little bit about what you just said, because for me, it'll be 10 years in June since Shayna passed. And for the first several years, people would talk about connection, and people would ask me, do you get a connection with your daughter and stuff like that? And I thought, okay, well, no, I don't feel her touch me. I don't hear her voice. I have had a couple of dream visits. And then I did do a little bit of mediumship training, and I realized a lot of it feels like you're using your imagination. We do these
yeah,
exercises, and they would say, connect with, so and so. And I would just make something up. And they're like, oh, yeah, that happens to be right. And I'm like, oh, so that's what it feels like. And so for me, with Shayna, it's kind of like you said, the picture you see behind me is actually, we have one in our foyer, the exact same picture. And when I open the bedroom door in the morning, it's the first thing I see. And I say good morning to her. And
yeah,
so she's part of, I make her a part of my life. And so that's the way that we continue our relationship. And as you said, I hear other people say, again, my loved one touches me or stuff like that. And I don't get that. And that's okay. Ours is different.
yeah. Your relationship is going to be unique for you, and so
Right.
everybody's staying in touch in whatever way works, and it can also evolve.
Hmm.
It can shift, because I've worked with people who had minimal contact or some, and then it just gets stronger, because
Yeah.
we're always growing and evolving.
Yeah.
So what I teach is that whatever you're experiencing right now is perfect for you.
Hmm.
and embrace it that way. Because if you just say, this is great, this is perfect, it will actually keep evolving if that's part of your life theme.
Right.
Theme meaning like you're here to explore certain things in this life, right? So I would say for most of the people that I work with, it's clear to me that one of their themes or soul agreements is to continue that relationship for
Hmm.
their evolution. Not just to heal their grief, not just to continue the relationship. I mean, that Alan says is kind of like the carrot dangling in front of us, like, come here, come right this way. You're going to reunite with your loved one, and it's beautiful, and you can't have that. But really, what the big picture is, it's about the person's growth as a soul, because that's why we're here. Because remember, on the other side, we always return home, and we're actually there with them in the spirit world, because the larger part of us remains non-physically focused. That's what Abraham Hicks talks about all the time, right? The
Hmm.
greater part of you is always in the spirit world. Only a tiny part of you is here in this body, in this life. You're living in other parallel lives at the same time, because everything's happening here and now. That's
Hmm.
why I teach a lot about the nature of existence in my classes, because people understand the nature of reality. Then it's easier for them to understand, okay, then I can connect with my loved one because I am already connected.
Right.
I'm just thinking that there's some big gap, right? That they went somewhere far away. When
Hmm.
no, I'm sorry, everything is right here, enfolded. Like realities are all like entwined, right? And it's a question of you shifting your frequency closer
Yeah.
to theirs. That's all it is. It's not like they're on the other side of the universe, like the universe is right here. So yeah, but whatever the relationship is perfect. So maybe for you, and I'm just saying maybe your daughter, I would say, Alan's saying absolutely your daughter's passing was a catalyst for your growth and to be of service.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you can have, if that's what both of you, because remember, it's co-created, right? Like what
Hmm.
is the agreement? Um, it can go deeper. It can go, who knows?
Yeah.
Like there's no limit. It's like up to you and her. He's saying she's happy, so thrilled with what you've done so far, and
Yeah.
that you include her in your life, right?
Yeah.
Like my dear friend of ours, her daughter passed at age 7. She had been born completely disabled, like on a breathing tube, and and couldn't walk or talk or anything. I don't remember her condition, but
Mm.
she had led that life for 7 years, but she taught her family so much
Mm-hmm.
about compassion
Hmm.
and about intuition, because her mother had to connect with her psychically to
Right.
understand to meet her daughter. So when the daughter passed, she's like so much a part of their life. Like when they go out, they constantly see signs. The siblings like hear their sister, like she's watching out for them, like she's talking to them. So, that was their path. That
Right.
was their journey. But they know she's alive, and she's very much evident. And they're so happy that she can engage in life, because she wasn't able to when she was in a body.
Yeah.
She couldn't ever get out of bed, and she
Yeah.
couldn't open her eyes. So one extraordinary experience and journey they went on. So I try to tell people to see that, that was that soul plan,
Right.
was to have this experience and not look at it like it's such a tragedy, because clearly her daughter, and I know her daughter, Ellen says on the other side, her daughter's a highly evolved soul. So she took on this
Oh,
harsh
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
assignment, so to speak, right?
Right.
And many people do that. They're in situations in this life where one outer, view of it be like, oh my God, that's so terrible, so hard,
Right.
but it was chosen.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, it's interesting as we're saying this. We're starting to figure this out about autistic people, and this has become a big thing. It's become, especially in my life, because I have this series of things come along with my podcast. And I interviewed 3 people like almost in a row who were involved with autistic people. Two were mothers, and one was a teacher who was teaching a boy who was minimally verbal. And then, so this came about, and then this podcast blew up called the telepathy tapes. And everybody's talking about the telepathy tapes now, and these autistic kids are just like displaying amazing abilities. And so I'm hoping that's really going to wake the world up to, like you said, people who are differently abled, not disabled, but they're differently abled, are, I think, here a lot of times to teach us and help us to understand that, we are much more than just what our bodies are.
Yeah, that was what was happening with my friend's daughter. She was
Yeah,
telepathically just talking to her because we're consciousness. Consciousness isn't limited to a body or even a vocal body, right? A voice.
right.
Like it's we're mind to mind. And on the other side, we don't even have names because you know who everybody is. You just know what you know. And Alan says it's not even like you talk to each other like we talk here. He
Hmm.
says it's like you just have these conversations that are all like just consciousness, right? You don't have to go blah, 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 blah. And so a lot of times I tell people, just be aware that your loved one sometimes is just talking to you more in that way, more through emotion, more through just giving you the knowing of what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
So they can talk like you and I are talking. Yeah, and I hear Alan like that a lot of times, but they also talk in all these nonverbal ways.
Hmm.
So my experience of him is actually not as physical as some of my students. Some of my students, I just like, whoa, I blow my mind.
Hmm.
I hear them and they go, well, I want what you're having, but I'm happy with what I'm having because I know it's perfect for me.
Hmm.
But some of them, their partners are everyday extraordinary, like signs, like writing things in the carpet. One of my
Yeah.
students, like drawing a heart in the carpet and reaching out to other loved ones in other ways too that are close to this person and making himself very visible to
Hmm.
everybody. And so, but everyone's different. Like I've
Right.
said, other people, it's like they just know they're there, they feel them. Some people hear them, some hear them like in their own voice. Most of the time, though, it's more like a dialogue going on in your head that you
Right.
you get used to because they're communicating with the same personality and using the same words at most of the time, right? So you'd go, oh, of course that's you. Like that's the way you talk. And here's the funny thing I'll share with you because people would say, yeah, I hear him talking to me and he's saying whatever he's saying, but that's what he would always say.
Yeah.
So how do I know I'm not making it up? And then I'll say, but think of it this way though. If he were to say to you something that he would never have said before, it was really different, you'd probably tell me, oh, that can't be him because he doesn't talk like that,
Right. Exactly.
you know? And so I heard Alan going, see, we can't win. Like
Exactly.
you guys
Yeah.
like are gonna look for a problem. Like,
Hmm.
oh, this of course that's you. Or no, that can't be you.
Right.
It's like, so he says they'll try like a little bit of all of it, but in the end, it comes down to what I tell people is focus on, do you feel their love? This is what I do my best to open up people with first, because feelings don't lie, right? So, and just yesterday for Easter, I taught this workshop. No, not really workshop. It's more like a healing circle
Hmm.
because the other side asked me to for Easter, since
Hmm.
that's appropriate timing, right? Resurrection, that we don't die, Christ has risen and all that, and our loved ones have risen. Ellen says, well, we didn't have to rise, we're already here, like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so we did a healing, and I brought in the other side, and because they said, it's not about our messages. It said we want them to feel our presence and our love, because experience is what heals you and changes you, not ideas, not words. Sure, you like to have the message because it gives you some info, but the information alone is not enough, right?
Mhm.
So they were always telling me that I was to channel, bring them in. The angels were helping come in and helping loved ones come in. And so people yesterday were just like saying, they were flooded with love. They felt their loved ones, and many of them saw them and all these things. And I like to teach groups because the energy is stronger when we're concentrated, when we're all together, when
Mhm.
the other side is coming together as a
Mhm.
group and we're gathered as a group, right? So that video I am going to release on my YouTube channel at some point. But people were feeling it, and it stays with you. And you can't like deny that. You can't go, oh, I was making that up.
Yeah.
Like, because you feel like these waves of love, right? Or goosebumps. And afterwards you're elevated and you're just feeling high, and your frequency, you've shifted. that's what our work is primarily about, because I am teaching information just to lay the foundation, because I've studied this for 37 years.
Hmm.
And I've been working with people to help them evolve spiritually anyway for all that time. But now it's, it's more targeted to help people connect to the other side, but also to their guides and angels,
Yeah.
because I know from my experience, the way I awakened my abilities was through channeling my guides. And it wasn't until later I understood that when you channel the spirit world, you're connecting with fifth dimensional energy, which you're part of. And that's going to help you open up. Okay.
Hmm.
But the part of the journey is whatever limiting beliefs you have, here's that word again, is going to come to the surface, because love is like the great detoxifier. Like whatever doesn't match it starts to come to the surface. You go, oh, I've got all this anger. Oh, I've got all this judgment. Oh, I've got this self-hatred or whatever, right? It starts to illuminate it. And I've heard other channelers say the same thing, like Lee Harris. He spoke about that a while ago. The channeling process starts triggering things. And people need to understand that. Like, you want to get it out, better out than in. Like,
Right.
this is toxic. You want to get it out, because then your energy is clearer, and you're not only use your time connecting, you're going to be happier, because now you're more, again, the authentic, true you.
Yeah.
So this is all a journey, and but they're wanting to help, and they said to me from the beginning, they go, people are so fixated on, I want the message or I want the proof. How about if the proof is love? Because isn't love all that's important? Isn't that the only reality? You cannot conjure this feeling of loving connection, because if you could, then everybody would just sit around going, snap their fingers and conjure it. No, it's a co-created thing when you're the one that feels like kind of lost,
Yeah.
because you don't have it. You're kind of pinched off a bit from your beliefs. But if you open up to them and they meet you, and you meet them halfway with your imagination, that's why I tell people, you want to reach the other side, reach through the hallway of your imagination, reach for them halfway. Because otherwise, you're sitting here in the 3D world where you and I are right now, right? Physical world. And they have to work harder,
Yeah.
because, yeah, they can come down here, but it's harder, right? So if we reach halfway, because we're trusting what we see and experience that just happens just naturally, we trust what we're feeling, knowing, hearing, and we let them in, then they don't have to work as hard. So I encourage our students to always use your imagination. In fact, I give them like exercises to do. And they start to see progress, because they were told that their imagination was just fantasy. And I go, no, that's your superpower. That's how you create your world. Use it.
Yeah.
Use it or lose it. Because if you're not using your imagination for what it was created for, then you are stuck in this world. You don't have access to the other side.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you did reading and it felt like you're making it up. Well, that is how you do it. It feels like you're making it up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
work with people all the time. I go, just make it up. Just go and pretend you're doing a reading and make it up and have fun with it. And they do that and they go, oh my God, like everything I said the person said was right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're in the imagination hallway where all the things just come, because intuition is about just letting it in. It's not like reaching for it, trying for it, right? That's the physical mind, physical
Yeah.
self.
That's a good
The
point.
higher self, higher mind is like, well, I'm just going to allow it to drop into my awareness.
Yeah.
So it feels like you're making it up.
Yeah.
But you're going, okay, so if I did know about this person, what might that be? If you ask the universe that question, you're going to know right away, because the universe is interactive. And you go, oh, I think they're like this, or I see this symbol, or I'm hearing this, right? And if you just start letting it flow, it's the most amazing thing, because I've taught psychic development for years. And one of my students was saying, yeah, it's kind of like the people that are brand new who haven't learned to distrust yet, they're just, because they say, I'll just make it up. She goes, they score a bullseye all the time. Like
Yeah.
because they're just like having fun. Yeah, that's the energy you bring to it. But the minute some people turn professional, now they go, okay, I got it. They're paying me money and I hope I can do it. Now they're trying too hard and now they're kind of missing the target
Yeah.
because it's not about trying.
Yeah.
And it's about just kind of being light and just trusting whatever. Because how many times have I given information to people and they'd go, well, I don't know about that. Like I told this one woman, I was just talking to her when I was working in the retail store, a new age store that I worked at a long time ago. And I was talking to this woman and I could feel her husband around her. I mean, her father around her. And he had passed. And I said, oh, did your father wear baseball caps? And toward, toward the end of his life, she goes, oh, no, like, I know what you're talking about, right? I go, whatever. I know what I saw.
Hmm.
And it's so funny because she called on the phone later, said, I need to talk to Pam. And I go, oh, hi. Yes, I remember you, Mary. Like, how are you? She goes, I just need to tell you, I forgot my dad had cancer. And at the end of his life, he was wearing baseball caps all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just said, I saw it fleetingly in my mind, right? And I said, I could feel it was him. And that's what it is. It's like just trusting what comes because he clearly just wanted her to know, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
No other message. And as she at first said, no, I can't accept that. And so Alan has always said to me, just say what you see or hear and leave it. Like, who cares? You just say, all right, just don't doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason that popped up in my clairvoyant vision.
Hmm.
And my job is just to share it.
Yeah.
Share it. And okay, now he's showing me I got to give this to you because he's saying, what I'm seeing is like angel wings around you. So I don't know if you know that there's a lot of angelic presence with you. Are you
Hmm.
aware of that? This can also be your friend, by the way.
Not really aware of it now, but it's interesting. It's angel wings because we have a painting in our family room that
Of
my wife
angel wings?
bought. It's a little girl. Well, to us, it's a little girl. It looks just like our daughter, but the
Oh,
artist who painted it did not know Shayna, did not paint it to be Shayna, but it's a black girl, halo, wings, and everything, and that's in our family room.
so did they paint it for you?
No, my wife found it and
Oh,
said
you
this looks like
found it.
Shayna. So yeah,
She found it. And then it reminds you of Shayna, right?
yes,
Like,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, because I see angel wings behind you, like around you,
Hmm.
and Alan's saying that there are a lot of angels that work with you that are supporting what you're doing. And
Hmm.
so, if you want to tap into that, you can. You don't have to. They're going to help you anyway.
Oh, I would
But
like
but
to.
they're like giving you ideas. And yeah, your daughter is one of them.
Yeah,
Like because I say we're all angels, right? We're all everything. Because if we're
yeah,
all God, then aren't we everything?
yeah.
Aren't we angels? Aren't we everything, right? So she's with you too. Feel your daughter more tending to be on your right side, like
Mm.
she's on your right side. So there can be this energy that sometimes comes in, but and I know I'm hearing Alan saying that she's so proud of you and happy that you kind of like she's part of your life
Oh
in
yeah,
whatever way you want it to be.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But she can do more for you from the other side. And I think they've all on the other side, they all want us to know that. Because when they're in a body, we are limited, right? We're in a 3D body
Hmm.
and can only do so much physically and even spiritually because we're here for the contrast. But she's doing so much for you and she does guide you and she puts ideas in your head, like I think all the time.
Oh yeah.
So it just comes in and you just kind of know that's guidance
Hmm.
and it's perfect because I feel like you just kind of flow with that. You don't it's not like something like for average person they'll go, well, that was strange. Like I said, like they don't recognize like, well, this is just how I live. This is just how things happen,
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
right? This is how I live. This is how I roll. This is how I am.
Yeah.
It's nothing strange. It's nothing quote special. And yet it is special.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know?
tell people that it's a partnership, and that's why Shayna's picture is behind me. I would not be doing this without her.
Yeah.
So it is. It's absolutely a partnership, like similar with you and Alan. Pam, we're coming to the end of our time. So
Yeah.
what I'd like for you to do, we've mentioned your book and we've mentioned your program that you have for people. So remind people what those are again.
Oh, okay. Well, the name of our book is Supernatural Love, a true story of love and life after death.
Hmm.
Um, Sorry, Alan says I messed up the title. It's Supernatural Love, a story of life and love after death. Whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's the cover behind me, and it's on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version, the ebook version for just like 97 cents or whatever. We've practically giving it away. Hard copy, paperback, and hardcover. People love who once they get the Kindle, they want the hard copy back there because they say that they can feel the energy more. It has helped people connect. It blows my mind that people tell me that they've read it several times. I mean, like 3-4 times, like they get more out of it. So any author would be thrilled to hear that, right? So
Right.
it's more than our story. It's he says that it's a connection point to the other side. That he said he would open a doorway to the other side. So, but if they want to learn more or learn with us, we just opened a free school community on the school platform, SKOOL, if people don't know what school is.
Mhm.
And it's called Supernatural Love Inner Circle. I am going to be launching a paid program that's going to house like all the workshops I've been teaching. At this point, I can keep count, just like 7 or 8 workshops. Like I've been teaching intensely last year and this year because I want to get a body of knowledge out there for people
Yeah.
so that they can access it. But we're putting it in this paid community on school that will be reasonably priced, and there they'll meet with other people who are on the same path, and so I hope people will first join us in our free community, the Inner Circle One on School, and I can give you a link to that because we'll always have that one open, the free one. But I want to go deeper, and I want to explore helping people manifest a better life, more abundance, more connection with their loved ones, better health, like everything, because I'm a big believer in that, we create our world, our experience, our bodies, even like everything. And so there's more power in numbers. So I like working with people one-on-one, but the other side said, I'm here to work with groups, the bigger, the better. So we're turning everything, putting a lot into that school platform, which I haven't again launched yet. But let's see. So yeah, they can learn more about me on my website, supernaturallove.com. That website URL was Alan told me to go and buy it when I didn't even know it was available. So from the other side, he goes, no, the name of it should be Supernatural Love, like our book. And I said, well, surely that can't be available, like supernaturallove.com, right? And I looked and it was for sale. I had to pay a pretty penny for it, but it was for sale. And he said, buy it. That's our book. That's our story. Like, just go buy it. So you can find us on supernaturallove.com. Everything you want to know about us is there, including one-on-one services. And but otherwise, yeah. And go to my channel. Our channel is Supernatural Love in the Afterlife, where I have 150 something videos, where most of them teach about connecting with the other side, your loved ones and guides and everything, because they're all connected, right? And tomorrow I am premiering, I think I told you, my first interview with one of my students who has an extraordinary relationship with her husband, who helps her with everything in her life, and made himself present from really the moment he passed. He set things up so she wasn't as traumatized by his passing. So she has this amazing story of how he's just so present and he guides her in everything, and how she feels literally wrapped in his love like 24/7. And she, like me, has said that his returning to her has brought out the real her. She's empowered and she's stronger and happier and having this amazing relationship with him. So that is possible for people. And if it's in their soul plan, I think they'll find their way to us. Many people who do reach out to me say they knew that their loved one guided them to us because they found us out of nowhere. They go, I don't know how I found your channel or how I saw it. And the people who know their guide to us usually immediately like join me. They just jump in because I know their loved one's kind of pushing them, right? But it's not for everybody, and that's okay. Not everybody's here for the same experience. We're all on a different journey, all leading to the same destination, right? We're all going home.
Yeah.
But different paths all going home.
Well, Pam, thanks so much for doing this. It's a pleasure to have you here today, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Lots of love to you and all your beautiful audience. Everybody's watching and listening.
All right,
Thanks.
enjoy your afternoon. Hey there, if you liked this episode, come on over and talk about it. Let me know what you liked. If you didn't like this episode, come on over and talk about it. Let me know what you didn't like. Go to grieftogrowth.com/community and look for Talk About the Podcast. I'll see you there.